Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. This is Hollywood mate Connelly with a double bicep. I'm trying to get the other arm in there. There it is. Very nice. We are starting a new show. This is the AWE Straight to Straps AWE News. The man to my left, but to your right, it is in fact the king of Sting, the Count of Monte Cristo, the co-pilot, the co-founder, the co-friendly person, co-wearer of clothes, co-breather of air, the co-mixing up my titles because I'm doing it fast. It's in fact the man who has won the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. There it is there. The illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is in fact your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge. Stockbridge, welcome to this new format that we're doing.
Well, welcome. And to all those people that are sitting at home, welcome to AWE Straight for Straps. This is your AWE news source every week, coming to you with the three biggest news stories in the AWE world. Those three big news stories this week are, of course, all of the AWE Underground Series matches that were filmed on the 22nd of this month have now been released to public, and so now enjoying tens of thousands of views in some cases as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. I mean, originally we were going to have 5 matches. We ended up with 8, mainly because, Lachlan Adair was refereeing and Ryan's, standing there doing the film work. And it was like when we had finished 4 matches, we had a bit of time to wait for the next person to get there who was coming from work. And Lachlan's just, you can see him itching, like, I just want to get on the table, know? And Ryan just looked at him and pointed and is like, you want to have a match? He's like, yes, I do. And it's like, you've got Australia's number 1 and number 2 just happened to jump on the table with each other out of nowhere. It wasn't planned or anything.
And it was almost similar circumstances where you had Josh Barker and Sam Burnett.
Yes.
Yeah, in the same almost like just eyeing each other off over the table, over the other side of the room. You've got the best under 70 kilo guy, the best 80 kilo guy, and Sam and Josh jumped on the table and made it happen. A long awaited matchup that no one was anticipating was going to happen on that day. Right. And Sam, for instance, he's been in recovery mode for the last 2 months, waiting for his elbow to settle down, and has not been training at all, and throws himself seriously at the deep end on AWE Underground. And I think in part because a lot of that pressure that might be normally associated with, the big build-up of a big super match that's going to be televised or on a pay-per-view just wasn't there. And so it was a really relaxed atmosphere, and so matches like that seemed to happen spontaneously.
Yeah, it was so good. It was just because everyone in that room that came along to watch was an arm wrestler. And, anybody that was standing in there could have gotten up on the table and had a match. And so when we had our first 4, and everyone that's watching is, when you're watching, it's like you want to get up, you want to have a go, because you're seeing these awesome things take place. You're like, man, I just want to get up there, that'd be amazing. And so Josh, when he was having his match against Tyson, about halfway through, I thought, well, Josh has probably got this pretty comfortably, and I thought, man, I'd hate for him to feel like, I didn't really, it was kind of a washout in a way.
And it was the last match for the day, and we'd waited some hours in order for Tyson to get there, and then of course the big build up, and I guess there would have been a lot of expectation and then when, like say, you get halfway into that match after all of that build up and all of that waiting, and Josh waiting to the end to have his match. Only to then find, I guess, he had the match he's been wanting for a very, very long time. Yeah,
so about halfway through Tyson and Josh's match, I've looked around the room and I saw Sam standing right there, and I was like, And I went over to Ryan. I said, Ryan, do you reckon we could have Josh and Sam? And he's like, have you asked him? I'm like, no. I'm like, Sam, I'm like, do you want to go against Josh? And he was like, and then he's like, I think he looked at his brother's, his girlfriend, and they're like, if you want to. And he's like, all right, yes. I hadn't even asked Josh. He's in the middle of a match.
He's arm wrestling a guy twice his weight, and halfway through you're kind of thinking about the next one.
And as soon as that match finished, I'm like, Josh, it's you and Sam now. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. So we've had some real great matchups that have been now released, and of course, none more viewed than Ryan versus Lachlan, which was completely impromptu, and now I think close to 40,000 views in total. What was your favourite match though?
I think it was the very first one that we released, and we edited it first for a reason, and that was Bowen Contado and Richard Borman. So much back and forth and funny moments and trash talk, and I think anytime Bowen is in a match, you want to watch it because he's like the Australian Matt Mask. You know, he's so fired up and aggressive, and he's talking like during the match, and he's going crazy. It's like, oh, that's the sort of person that you want to see, you want to show people. It's like, oh, this is crazy. And when we were editing the footage, and there's that particular moment of what Bowen said, 3/4 of the way through the match, that I could not stop laughing every single time, and I still do. I still snicker every single time I see that moment. I can't say what it is because it's a quite an offensive word, but because when I was watching it, because you were on the other side and you would have been facing Bowen. All I saw was Rickard start laughing his ass off halfway through the round. I didn't hear what Bowen had said. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what did he say? Like, why is Rickard laughing so much? And it wasn't until we got to the edit that I was like, oh, that's what he said. Did you hear him say it live?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. There was a bit of a snicker amongst the shed, the attendees that were there as well. So you could tell that, the young wood chopping champion was definitely fired up and was experiencing frustration at that point of the match as well to Rickard Bornemann. So both young athletes fired up. Two big but massive young men as well. I mean, we've got a 22-year-old and a 20-year-old. One's 6'4", one's 6'5". One's over 120 odd kilos. So you're literally talking about two young giants who have really only recently turned their attention to the sport and obviously have a big future. Both men elite in their chosen fields in rugby and in wood chopping, and have collided now in arm wrestling, and now setting a new standard in this country. And I'm sure a big future on the world stage comes for both of those young athletes.
Yeah, and that was one of the bonus matches we had as well, was that Bowen very, very good on his left hand, having won a few of the state titles recently and looking very dominant. And Lachlan Adair, known for a very, very strong left hand as well.
Number one in the country.
Absolutely.
Left and right.
Yeah.
Lachlan Adair, yeah.
And so it's like, well, do you guys want to? Yeah, let's do it.
It'd been a question because no one had seen these two young men against each other on the table, and so on left, and so it was a question that needed to be answered, especially given really Bowen's meteoric rise in the sport over the last 18 or so months. So, and Lachlan's somewhat relieved to find that he is still very much on top of the hill.
Yeah,
so
I loved the fact that happened, because for Bowen, it's so good for him to learn how far away am I from somebody that's at the number one spot, because maybe he felt like, okay, he was too strong, but I know I could probably get there with enough training and enough time. Or it's like, no, I could never reach that level. Or you just get so much more information. And for Lachlan, it's great as well, because it was like, he's an up and coming superstar on left arm, especially, which is quite rare. Not everyone is super big fans of left, and it's like, oh, this is a good challenge for me. So to have somebody that's very keen on left and very good at left, and they want to have a match with you all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So good practice for him.
Well, we saw Rickard versus Bowen on left as well,
yes.
and just saw how dominant Bowen. I mean, this was on right. There was it was reasonably even, and certainly a hotly contested match. But on left, it's a different story. Bowen's at a different level on left. So exciting things for Bowen if he wants to travel in the sport as well. My favourite matchup was Mataringi the Beast Adam Morris. In terms of how it came across on film, and Marcus Satira, I thought the storytelling on that, it looked very cinematic. Once you get that on a big screen, and that's my suggestion to anyone, if you want to watch AWE Underground matches and you can throw it from your device up onto a big screen or a smart TV, it's very definitely, you've got some surround sound. It really is. It's a great way to consume AWE Underground content. And once I threw that casted that up onto the TV and the family got around, that was the family's favourite. So
really?
I guess everybody loves to see two massive warriors collide, don't they?
Yes.
And I mean, it's an epic match, and it's a great story. And you've got these two, again, young athletes coming together as they start to emerge and make their way onto the world stage. So absolutely fantastic match between those two young men. And again, I think the first of many to come.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What an amazing match. For something we were very much looking forward to for the last few months, once we sort of figured out that was a good match that was going to be happening. Both giant men, 160, 170 kilos. Marcus looking incredibly dominant over in the AWE matches that he'd had at AW1 and 2. Matawarengi, obviously the beast for a reason. He's unbeaten in New Zealand for over 10 years, a bench press champion, an absolutely wrecking ball on the table, having gone with an incredible match against Todd Hutchings. And it's like, man, these two are going to be an incredible match together, and that's what we saw when they got face to face on the table. And Matawarengi able to walk away with the victory, but it was gained through a technical win. So he won. It wasn't just pure strength. It wasn't just one particular technique that he was going to implement. He was able to neutralize what Marcus wanted. And after the match, I was talking to Marcus. He's like, man, I didn't realize that people could do that to me, that was a weak spot for me. Essentially, Matawarengi just didn't move his wrist, that he's just stayed flat-wristed the whole time. And Marcus's game for the entire time he's been arm wrestling is relying on people getting a cup. Yeah. And, cupping or even pressing, maybe flop wristing, but bending this part of their wrist.
So he can get around.
So he's lined up to counter that. In every aspect, his whole game is built around that. And then for Matawarengi to not do that, it's like, I can't do what I need. So, it's such an interesting aspect of the sport that different techniques and strategies can be victorious over, maybe you're not as strong or maybe you're stronger, but it's like if you come up with a better strategy than your opponent, you can still win.
Well, I think young Marcus, he'll be back at the drawing board and back bigger and stronger than ever for our next AWE Underground Series. Other big news, of course, Ryan Bowen and Mazahir Saidu. Big match on the 10th of November over there in India. You're heading over as well.
Yes.
And that'll lead quite nicely into our next big news story in a few moments' time. But a lot of build-up going on right now with that match. So explain to us the setting. So this is going to be in New Delhi, but there is a big event that's being run during the course of that day by our friends at Pro Punja.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they're running a tournament as well, which I think they've got 650 entrants already signed up and going to be. I don't know how they're going to manage that. You must have like 100 tables going at once. It's just going to be. I can't wait to see how it plays out, because that many entrants is insane. The tournaments where we've run, around Australia, you're looking at between 30 and 50 people. To have that many people on board. So that tournament will be running throughout the day, and then obviously we'll have the Ryan and Mazahir match. I'm not sure whether it will be run as like an intermission throughout the tournament or whether it will be run near the grand finals, or we haven't had word on that yet. But it'll definitely be a very, very popular event. And the reason we changed it, originally it was going to be Saturday the 11th. We've gone to Friday the 10th because there's this big festival happening in that area, and the advice given was that there will be 10 times the amount of people that will come and watch as opposed to the Saturday. So potentially tens of thousands of people watching this event.
Yes. So, and even more online. And of course, people will be able to get some of this footage just live. There's going to be people there filming it, no doubt. You can watch that on Ryan Bowen's Instagram. But of course, if you want to wait for the AWE Underground edit, well, that'll be released within the week of the event, and you'll be able to check that out on the AWE Underground YouTube channel.
Yeah, that'll be great, because you're not only just seeing the match and all the in between Like if you're watching live, obviously you've got to expect that there's a lot of downtime, especially in arm wrestling, because you've got the minute break between rounds, you've got the slips, you've got this putting the strap together, and the refereeing lining you up before you actually get to see a match. But obviously when we're editing stuff, we've got to make it exciting. But you're not only just going to get the match part of it, but you'll get all the behind the scenes stuff. We're at the airport and the hotel and feelings and interviews with both Mazahira and Ryan, and both pre and post event. You're going to get shots of the crowd and maybe talking to people there. It's like, what does this mean for you guys to see what we're doing here? And
so this will be a full AWE production.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots to look forward to.
It's exciting.